Goshen, There's a land over there across the waters.
Across the water.
There's a land over there across the so we can stand our
Cause we sound in words, our heart in words, but the message was
Here are we, because of thy goodness. Israel, Yahovah. Help Israel, Yahovah. Help Israel, Yahovah. Hey, Yahovah. Hey, Yahovah.
No, that's it?
No.
Do we sing like 15 songs?
They said they done. They said they done. They said they handled it.
You teaching today, right? Yeah. You doing the first portion, right? Okay.
They do a second half version.
Keep going. We can't start to have
When y'all teach,
We gotta say prayer.
Teach from over here. Teach from this side when y'all teach.
Where?
Who's opening up in prayer? Yes? Oh, I think he went to go get somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, maybe we did praise, but come back. Now they're like, we did the word. No?
Okay.
That's all.
Well,
That's all.
That's too much praise? Oh,
I was thinking that. I was thinking that. They said, hold on, hang on, hang on.
so get your energizer packs on.
Yeah.
So you can go that little extra
We don't
mile.
want nobody missing a word. That's the...
No man's
What's my name? I've been changed with my holy name. In my soul, nations wonder. What's my name? Hallelujah.
No, you got one more. Woo!
Okay. King, Redeemer, Savior, and Shield. King, Redeemer, Savior, and Shield. Blessed are you, Lord. Blessed are you, Lord. You're the shield of Abraham. Blessed are you, Lord. Blessed are you, Lord. You're the shield of Abraham. Melech Kolenu Moshiach Magen. Melech Kolenu Moshiach Magen. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai. Magen Abraham. Oh, blessed are you, Lord. Blessed are you, Lord. You're the shield of Abraham.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, let's go around. Everybody give a commandment. Everybody give one of the 10 commandments. You want to start it? Okay, go ahead. You start. Stand up, please. Now, y'all think you're too old to be giving a little baby one.
You said take it.
Any of the 300, what is it, 610?
613.
611?
13.
How many?
13?
All right.
600.
Any of the 613?
No, that's David.
On your phone, my mother.
No. You can't. Older people can't. She can give.
You just said.
Selah can give a little kid one, but the older adult, young children, they gotta give a commandment that's worthy of them.
Can't drink or eat blood.
Huh?
Can't drink blood.
Can't drink blood. Okay. All right. We'll let you slide with that one. Thank you. Amy, you got a commandment for us?
Are we going this way?
Yeah, we gotta get you because she jumped and volunteered. That's good though.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just gonna. If a woman is in her time, her niddah time, she has to separate for 7 days. Well, she's unclean for 7 days. Whatever she sits on is unclean. Whatever she touches is unclean. Whatever she lay upon is unclean. If her blood touches the bed, it's and somebody touches it, they're unclean until the evening. Well, for 7 days, and
Rose says
until
she
the
got
evening.
something else. Rose
It's
wanted
not
to correct
if
you.
she touches, anything she touches, it's whomever she touches.
Yeah, well, yes, whomever she touches is unclean, and that's all for that.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Sister Yana.
Right. I was trying to think of one.
Can you stand up, please, and give us a commandment, please? Any of the 613, any of them.
Any of them.
Any of them.
Well, thou shalt eat clean meat. So
Huh?
I said, thou shalt eat clean meat. Well, I mean, that's not how it's said, but
Huh?
eat clean meat.
Huh?
Not
Do you have any other ones?
unclean.
Oh, eat no unclean meat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any other ones? Like a big girl one?
I was thinking of the one with the lamb, but I couldn't remember how it finished.
The one with the lamb?
Land.
The lamb?
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of them with the lamb. Which one you
I'm
want?
thinking of the 70-year with
There
the,
you go. Go ahead. That's a good one. That's a big one.
Jubilee.
yes, the Jubilee year. I was thinking of that one. But I can't remember when it would be returned to him, so I didn't do that one.
In the year of Jubilee.
But isn't it?
What?
6 years you shall till and plow the land.
That's not what I was thinking of.
No, she's not talking about that. She's
I will
talking
give us
about
a
the
different
I was thinking of the borrowed
You
land.
can't remember
Borrowed
that
land.
and give us a different one.
Jubilee.
Princess always putting us on the spot.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that.
All right, we'll come back to you, sis. Sister Casey, could you stand up and give us a commandment, please?
Thou shalt not consume anything sacrifice to another power.
You got some more to that you want to say, or you done? That's a great
That,
one.
right. Thou shalt not consume that which is unto the priest, or that which is given to the priest. So anything that is
Most holy.
donated, most holy or donated to the Most High. The blood is to the Most High. The organs and all of its internal parts are to the Most High, but the meat is only for the priesthood and those within their homes. So
Very
we're
good.
not to eat any meat sacrificed or donated to our power.
Okay, thank you.
So like that.
Very good. Very good. See, that's a little kid one. If I'd heard an adult get up and say that, I'd had to cry. Very good. Sarah.
Love thy neighbor as I love thyself.
Are you serious?
That is the law.
That's not a big one.
That's a
though.
big one.
That's the big one that people don't follow.
That's
That is
right.
a big law that a lot of people don't
All
follow.
right, the people rule. The people rule.
But I will give you another one.
The people rule. Whatever y'all say. Somebody's cheating. Thou should not cheat.
Oh no, I don't need her to help me. Thank you. If you give birth to, if a woman gives birth to a male child, she's unclean for 7 days, but she is still in her time of impurity for 33 more days. If she has birth to a female child, she's unclean for 14 days, and she's still into her impurity for 80 days.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. That's a big boy commandment. That's what I'm talking about. All right. We're gonna start over here, y'all.
Orion.
Come on, Ariana, get up.
And
Oh,
sit
me?
up.
He's cheating. Look at him looking. He's looking for a commandment.
You looking for a commandment?
No.
Oh my
Get your
All right, come on. You're taking too long.
They've
man.
been
Get
looking
on.
for one.
Okay.
You're supposed to be strong in this truth.
And you gotta sit up.
And you're gonna look at your phone in our face.
I see what time it
There's
is.
no shame to his
See
game.
what time it is.
Alright. That's not still. That's deep.
Ariana.
Ariana, if you don't get up and
Cause y'all people be stuck around here.
God should not steal and get
Look at that
commandments while on the show.
Alright,
How
so
that?
look.
See, this seems like it's a simple thing to do,
it's
but
not.
when you put on the spot, you really got to think, and it's a lot harder. Think about things that you do normally through your day that you know you can do and what you can't do, and just speak.
What do I always tell y'all to do?
Oh,
We're friends. Friends.
What about them?
Y'all should do
What do your fringes represent? Why do you have to wear them?
You shall wear fringes upon the four corners of your garment with a strand of blue. Something like that.
As a what? As
As
a
a reminder of the law.
No, your turn.
big boy.
I should not. I don't do this. Strike to your parent.
Very good.
you did with the thought.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Shalom, shalom,
Shalom, shalom.
shalom.
All right.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Nothing goes in prayer?
No, we didn't. No,
We stalling.
Go ahead, your turn, man.
Y'all should have started with singing.
Also,
We did.
Y'all sung every song in the book.
Yes, practically. And we added some more. Rock did a couple of solos.
Speaking of songs, we got Najee in the house. Hallelujah.
Oh, wait. So we gonna stop the commandments and just sing?
Yes.
I don't know what y'all doing. So you waiting for me?
Well, you here now. We was doing commandments.
Oh,
But
hell
we
no.
stop.
We're gonna finish
Because it sounds like they
everything.
getting scared. It look like they up and
Look, Mario, let's go.
Like he's back, dude. Like, you see him.
also,
You see him.
Really?
Thou shalt not
Come on
go
now.
up and down the tailbearer.
yes.
Welcome down.
Right?
Neither shall thou stand in the blood of thy brother.
Yakin.
I cannot cover the nappy.
Go ahead, y'all.
All right.
Ron, you gotta stand up and give us a commandment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big boy.
Big boy commandment.
Alright, give me. Let's see.
About 600.
In my head. Alright, so thou shalt not sacrifice in thy field. You should bring your sacrifice before the priest, and if thou shalt sacrifice in thy field, then the blood will be on your hands as if you killed a human being.
He pulling up wilderness laws. Okay.
Okay.
You don't just be killing stuff.
All right.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Najee.
Yeah.
Where's Mario?
Hi.
Mario.
Get higher.
Y'all can
That shall not make any images or serve any other gods.
I had to give us a big
Wait a
girl off.
minute, wait a minute. You like at least 15 years old.
Damn.
That's
Like
a
his
little
20s.
2-year-old baby commandment,
I
man.
didn't want to sit on the wrong way. I don't got like.
You say the wrong way, we help you, we encourage you, that's how we learn. It's okay. Put it out the way you know it, man. We'll help you get it right.
Unless you want some more.
No, we just give us one. Just give us one. But you gotta stand up, please.
That should not eat the fat or the blood of
I already said that.
All right.
You had it in you, man.
You said you already said that in that?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I got two only because I had to look and cheat and see a little bit because at the end
She
of
is
it,
honest.
the end of it was a little bit like funky. All right, so the one I wanted to bring out was the one where like I thought it said, if I'm not right, I thought it said like high priest, like Kohanim, like the high priest shouldn't multiply wives and themselves.
No, that's the
Like,
king.
they go, yeah,
That's the
but it's
king.
a king instead of, so I had to look and get it right because I was like, it says Kohanim, and you don't know your bloodline, you might as well just opt out. But you know what?
It's for the king.
You're king. So I had to step back on that.
Yeah.
And so the other one,
Discipline.
huh?
Discipline.
So
See, we wouldn't understand that, you know what I mean? That's
Oh, I understood that
So anyway, the other one I was gonna say, because I cheated a little bit on that one, I had to get the one straight where it's the king and not the priest. I'm gonna look for the priest because I thought they said something about the
The
priest.
priest got to marry a virgin.
Yeah,
clearly.
high
Virgins, yeah.
Yeah.
The high priest.
Yeah, but that's like when you don't. But that's the thing to think about. Like when you're not clear on your bloodline, then you should like all inclusive, right? So then those things make it a little bit tricky, right? Like
Most people gonna do that.
if I am,
I'm not
you
going to.
never know.
Because they might get a divorce.
So yeah,
You'll be a single man forever.
right. It's, you pray for forgiveness, I guess. So just in case, the other one I had was like Goshen related because thinking about Goshen and land, and you're not encroaching upon your neighbor's borders. That's the other one. Like you gotta respect the borderline.
That's a very good. That's a good one. We gotta get the
That's a
plaques
big
out.
girl.
All right. Mario. Mario, come on out. Right.
Finish out that later.
Oh. No, he not happy today. He learned that one out the womb. Come on. A big one. That was out the womb.
I like that one.
I like that one
You know why I like that one? Because people only focus on the 7th day shall you rest. They ignore the 6th day shalt thou labor.
But he knows something bigger.
Yeah.
That's his easy way out.
A supportive sister over there, she's clapping for all of it.
Right, right.
And then he sit down like he proud.
Right. Like I did that.
Like he
You
dropped
did
the
not
bomb.
do that.
He walks and
Nasik.
sit down like he'd have dropped the bomb.
Okay, this one's I like. Okay, y'all probably said this one already. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
I
That's
said that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. And you can't hate your brother in your heart.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all said that one?
No.
There's another one about correct your neighbor and suffer not sin upon him.
Yeah.
Y'all said that one?
No.
Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, all your might. Y'all said that one? Y'all said that one?
No, we didn't say that.
Y'all said that one? That's my favorite one.
This way you did that.
I'm trying to see how y'all let him slide with all them little T ones.
That might be little kitty ones, but those profound ones will change the world.
Thou shalt have no other power before the Creator. How
All
about
right.
that? See, y'all let him slide.
No.
Huh?
least
He
get like
gave us
four.
like 4.
I know, but I'm saying one and y'all start jumping. Right?
But those were the 10 Commandments.
But wait a minute. I didn't even get to catch my breath after I let it out and y'all jumped me.
I said the 10 Commandments.
I had a couple of them while I was sitting there, but then when I got nervous when I stood up.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. When you get put in the spotlight, you just go pew, they go pew, and you be forgetting them. But if 2 men are fighting, and one man seems to be losing, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember word for word verbatim, and the man who is losing's wife put forth her hand and grabbed the other man by his private parts. Her hand is to be cut off.
So what does that teach you, woman?
Her hand.
Stay out of it.
No, it teaches you to use a bat.
Oh yeah. Okay. Or a knife.
Say whoa.
Or a gun.
Just don't be touching that.
Just don't touch it with your hand. Just don't touch it with your hand.
Genitals.
Yes.
That says so many things.
Yeah, it
I'll
does.
be careful about that.
Carlin had
Can I
to.
help you?
If I'm, help me, go ahead.
A man whose genitals have been defiled cannot enter the temple.
Yeah.
That's why
Very good.
the woman can't come
That's
and grab
why-
the other man.
That's why.
That's part of the
Well,
reason.
because if he's unattached
Yeah,
or
right,
you know
right.
But
found, he can't enter the
did
temple.
you notice that it didn't say if a man did that, they cut his hand off?
Yeah.
The reason why was because she was married. So it lets
Right.
you know that the lines on what is acceptable for a wife,
Yeah, for a woman.
It's different.
for a wife.
We have a couple.
It didn't say if it was his daughter. It didn't say if it was his daughter.
We have a couple of people online that said
That's a
something.
good one.
Some people online said something? Okay, so I guess I better hurry up then so we can read theirs.
We don't have
All right, they probably had a chance to look in the book though. If a man, if you touches the hand of a man that has an uncleanness, his issue, a venereal disease, basically. If you touch his hand and you go all day without washing your hands before the sunset, then you shall be unclean. What we're supposed to do is, that's why you gotta be real careful about shaking people's hands. Give him a pound, give him a dab. But you know, venereal diseases are contagious. And some venereal diseases, if you get them, you can't get rid of them. And you can get them by touching people's hands because they didn't bathe, they didn't wash their hands.
It's also another reason why you shouldn't let people kiss your baby and put stuff in their mouth and put it in your baby's mouth and stuff like that.
That's right. That's right. Let me share it with you. In the Jewish culture, they practice circumcision. And in the circumcision, what he does is the person who does the circumcision, they put their mouth over the penis of the one that's circumcised. And it has been hundreds of cases where the rabbi who did the circumcision infected the baby boy with herpes.
And another STDs as well.
Yeah.
However, that's very gay to do. So let's just call that spade a spade.
Call it what it is. Call it what it is.
That's homosexuality.
It's something how these people who try to imitate us, you know.
Not all of them.
With an ad.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
You can't say.
They put
They've
their
been
twisted
practicing for
things.
hundreds of years.
That's true.
Yeah,
But I had more. Damn.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want to start reading some of the ones up here?
Oh, it's only like 2. Carlin just said, thou shalt not commit adultery and thou shalt not kill. And then a sister said, a sister said, honor thy father and mother, that thy days may be long upon the land that the Most High, thy power has given thee.
But you know what it shows? It shows their engagement.
Yes.
Because there's probably a lot of other people on it that didn't say anything. You know, they probably thought it, but they didn't engage with it, and they didn't say it.
Yep.
Who's opening us up?
Not yet.
You need a mic? You need a mic or you need a beat?
A
beat and a mic.
Alright, so I'm gonna disconnect.
Oh.
He's ready.
He gonna carry you out.
Yeah, and a mic.
He said, I've been right.
I'll take the music and the mic.
Paying attention. Oh gosh.
Hook the Bluetooth up to the bump box.
This is bumper.
But you no, it's bad. He has it.
Oh, you got Y'all, you ready?
She's about to be next.
Well, what from?
The one you, something you was just saying. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, once you plug it in, it's working, bro. There's a mic volume right there.
Which one is the one that's on the
bottom.
Yeah, next to it.
The one that said mic volume.
I think you got to turn it on.
Yeah, you go.
Make sure it's not too loud. Testing, testing.
I think you want to turn it up a little loud.
1, 2, 3.
I think it's good.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
We done came up.
I didn't have no mic when I was singing.
You stand over there.
You got a loud voice.
Yeah, you got some
Project.
She projects.
Yes.
Okay.
You got this.
Hold on. No, it's not. Hold on. Just let me breathe real quick.
You have to breathe.
You got it.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's just family. Don't worry about the phone.
Okay, I got you.
There's a reason we're supposed to shine chandelier. If we live by His laws, more action, less war. In integrity, that's the only way we get to see a better week. Yeah. Glorify the Most High with sincerity. Praise is a daily thing. Praise I give, 'cause I'm grateful to live. I got a song or two, only the truth will leave my lips. My God blessing my day, so I'm giving them praise. Try to sing this part with me, it's simple. Toda la El Shali, Toda la El Shali, Toda la El Shali, Yehovah. One more time. Toda la El Shali, Toda la El Shali, Toda la El Shali, Yehovah. Praise is a daily thing. Praise I give, 'cause I'm grateful to live. I got a song or two, only the truth will leave my lips. Toda la El Shali, Yehovah.
You say you got a song or two.
A song or two, yeah.
I don't think I need to feel that. beat on. Y'all want to sing good and bad today?
Yeah, sing good and
Yeah,
bad.
let's do that. You love me through my good. You love me through my bad. You love me through my good. You love me through my bad.
My bad.
You didn't erase my future because of my past. I'm glad you love me through my good and my bad. You love me through my good. You love me through my bad. You love me through my good. You love me through my bad, my bad. You didn't erase my future because of my past. I'm glad you love me through my good and my bad. Hey, one more time. You love me through my good. You love me through my bad. You love me through my good. You love me through my bad, my bad. You didn't erase my future because of my past. I'm glad you love me through my good and my bad.
Sing a song at the end, okay?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Told y'all for allowing us to be here today, Most High, and allowing us to wake up out of our sleep, Most High. Told y'all for allowing us to come together as a family and praise your name, Most High. Please, Most High, bless the teachings that are going to be taught today, Most High. Allow them to be righteous in your name, Most High. Please, Most High, bless the food that we're going to partake of today, and told y'all for allowing us to have food today, knowing that other people are starving or are hungry in other parts of the world, Most High. Please, Most High, give us guidance and show us the vision of Most High as we try to manifest righteousness for you, Most High, in Goshen, Most High. And please, Most High, bless the vision of Goshen and allow it to be prosperous and righteous, Most High. Told y'all for all things and everything. Hallelujah.
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 Amen.
Amen.
Get the mic. You don't need the mic.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
So I'm guessing everybody read this week, so everybody know where we starting at this week.
No, where we starting at?
I don't know about to ask y'all. Y'all read the week. Y'all read during the week. Everyone said they read. So what we starting?
We're starting
at chapter 40.
Genesis.
All right, Genesis. Come on.
Not verse 1.
What chapter?
43.
Oh, not 43.
44.
Okay. What verse?
No, 4. Verse
It was 44, 18.
All right, there we go. Somebody been reading that in the week, so we see that.
But what verse?
Genesis chapter 44, verse 15.
18.
18. My bad. You gotta read it. All right, so let me just wrap it back together. So let me catch it back up. So basically, Joseph, he became the official of Egypt. He's basically like the highest ranking person in Egypt besides Pharaoh. Pharaoh just like the figurehead, so he just got like the status. But basically, Joseph runs everything. And his brothers came, and they was asking for food because there was a famine all throughout the world. So they came, they started asking for food. Joseph says that they're spies, and he refuses to give them food at first. He eventually allows them to get food, and he tells them to bring back their brother, and he takes Simeon and he holds him, and then they come back to their father. They beg to bring Benjamin so they can get some more food. So they're at the point where they've been accused of stealing from Joseph his cup, his royal cup, and they got their money back. So they're at the point where they're begging and pleading Joseph to make everything right. Before I start teaching, I want to make sure I ask the Most High to guide my words and my lips and allow everything to be in His way and in righteousness, and that if I misstep or make a mistake, that He allows me to see my mistake and we can go about that. So let's get started.
Right. Yeah.
This is reading.
I never said anything.
Yeah, you shook your head, yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, so we started at 18?
Yeah.
Can you come up a little closer so they can pick your voice up?
You just use the mic. Use this mic.
So 18?
Yes, sir.
Then Judah approached him and said, If you please, my lord, may your servant speak a word in my lord's ears, and let not your anger flare up at your servant, for you are like Pharaoh. My lord has asked his servants, saying, Have you a father or brother? And we said to my lord, We have an old father and a young child of his old age. His brother is dead. He alone is left from his mother, and his father loves him.
All right. You see right there that Judah starts to take charge. Judah starts to speak for his brothers because you know everyone's not a speaker, everyone's not a leader, everyone doesn't know what to say. So he has to take charge and has to do what's right. And he talks to Joseph, not knowing that Joseph was his brother at this time. But he asked him, he said, my Lord. He comes to him in a humble way. He started to set Joseph in a spot where Joseph feels empowered. See, like anytime we want to talk to each other, we like to talk to each other on the same level. But when you're talking to somebody with more authority, whether it be a parent, whether it be a supervisor, or whatever it be, you got to give them some type of respect if you want them to listen to you. So he says, my Lord. He said, I'm just a humble, he says, I'm a servant. We are just servants. So he's letting him know that you hold all the power, but I'm asking, can you do this one thing for me? Let's continue.
Then you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, and I will set my eye on him. We said to my Lord, The youth cannot leave his father, for should he leave his father, he will die. But you said to your servants, If your youngest brother does not come down with you, you will not see my face again. And it was when we went up to your servant, my father, we told him my Lord's words. And our father said, Go back, buy us some food. We said, We cannot go down, only if our youngest brother is with us. Then we will go down, for we cannot see the man's face if our youngest brother is not with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One has left me, and I presume, alas, he has surely been torn to pieces, for I have not seen him since. So should you take this one too from my presence, and the disaster befall him? Then you will have brought down my holiness and evil to the grave.
All right. You see right there that they didn't just have to plead to Joseph, they had to plead to their own father. And the similar text that they used to plead to Joseph, that they used it to as their father. So they're showing their father respect. They're showing that that their father can trust them. They're saying that we need to bring Benjamin, or we're not gonna be able to go bring food. We already told this man. He already told us that if we don't bring Benjamin, then we're not gonna be able to come back and show our faces. So they gotta plead to their father, and they know what their father been through, and their father's gonna reiterate that to make sure they know that if they don't bring back Benjamin, then he's basically saying there's no point in me living. I'm just gonna die. I'm just rest with my fathers, and then I'm gonna go down into the grave. He's saying like this is his last son out of his favorite wife. So he cherishes Benjamin. So he starts to cherish Benjamin, and he wants to make sure that Benjamin's gonna come back because he already lost one, or so he thought. So he wants to make sure that he can trust his sons with Benjamin. Let's continue.
And now if I come to your servant, my father, and the youth is not with us, since his soul is so bound up with his soul, it will happen that when he sees the youth is missing, he will die. And your servants will have brought down the holiness of your servant, our father, in sorrow to the grave. For your servant took responsibility for the youth from my father, saying, If I do not bring him back to you, then I will have sinned to my father for all time. Now, therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the youth,
as a servant to my Lord, and let the youth go up with his brothers. For how can I go up to my father if the youth is not with me, lest I see the evil that will befall my father?
All right. You start to see this guilt from their sins, their iniquity that's coming upon them. They're saying like, Judas basically saying like, take me instead of Benjamin. He can't go. I can't see my father cry again. I can't see my father in the same state that he was in when he seen Joseph was gone. I can't bring that report back to my father. Please just take me and leave Benjamin alone. And that's just showing guilt. You know, you can't have guilt unless you have a conscience, unless you have some type of idea of what's right and what's wrong. So even though these brothers had their iniquity, had their sins that they did upon Joseph, that they did upon whatever Canaan or whatever they did, they still had some type of spirit in them where they knew what integrity was. They knew what was right and wrong. You can't have this guilt upon you if you don't know what's right and wrong. So they knew what was right and wrong. So that just shows that even though they did their wrong, it still came back to bite them. It still came back to haunt them. It still came back to constantly come towards them and coerce their spirit. So like even if nowadays you know you do wrong and you start to think and think, and you start to get restless at night. You start to you can't sleep. And that's the Most High planting that thing inside of you, showing you that you need to make this right. You need to repent. You need to change your ways. You're never gonna get rid of that guilt unless you make everything right. Unless you make reformations. Unless you repent. Unless you the first step of repenting is admitting to what you did wrong. So these brothers, they weren't gonna get over this unless they admitted what they had done wrong. And we're going to start to see that this is starting to get to Joseph. Joseph starts seeing that, dang, my brothers are finally starting to get it. Finally starting to click like, dang, I really did this wrong thing. This is really coming down upon me. And this is what gets Joseph out of his character. Let's continue.
Now Joseph could not restrain himself in the presence of all who stood before him. So he called out, remove everyone from before me. Thus no one remained with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. He cried in a loud voice. Egypt heard, and Pharaoh's household heard. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer him because they were left disconcerted before him.
All right. You see right there that this in Egypt, like the Pharaoh was like a god to them, to the people. So they couldn't see him cry. Even though Joseph wasn't necessarily Pharaoh, he was almost in the same state as Pharaoh. So he was like almost to what the people would worship, a person that people would worship. So they couldn't see him cry. They couldn't see him do all these weeping in front of his brothers. They didn't know what was going on. All they heard was the cry. It was like, dang, something must be going on. But he already dismissed his guards. He already dismissed his servants and everything around him. So they knew that something was troubling Joseph. They knew that something come upon Joseph. And this is when Joseph was like, dang, I'm going to just let it go. I'm just going to forgive them because these people, I see that they're changed a little bit. I see that they're trying to do right. At least now they're trying to do right. I see that it doesn't matter what they did before. They're still my brothers at the end of the day. Let's continue.
And Joseph said to his brothers, Come close to me if you please. And they came close. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother. It is me whom you sold into Egypt. And now be not distressed, nor reproach yourselves for having sold me here. For it was to be a provider that God sent me ahead of you. For this has been 2 of the hunger years in the midst of the land. And there are yet 5 years in which there shall be neither plowing nor harvest. Thus God has sent me ahead of you to ensure your survival in the land and sustain you for a momentous deliverance.
All right, you see right there that Joseph, he humbled himself. He's in a humble state right now. He's tearing up. He's crying. He sees his brothers. He's in a good spirit right now. Even though he just cried out, but he's seeing his brothers. He's in a good spirit. He's like, you don't have to worry about what y'all did to me. Y'all sold me in Egypt, but this was all God's plan. God put me here so I can set things up so y'all can be successful, so y'all can eat, so y'all can be nourished, so y'all don't have to worry about the famine. This is God's plan. We got to remember that everything is God's plan. No matter how bad things might seem, no matter how chaotic or disastrous things might be, it's God's plan. We gotta continue to go to the Most High, because only the Most High is gonna be able to change what's going on in our lives. The Most High
right.
gives us things to test us. He gives us things to improve us. He gives us things to humble us.
That's
All these
right.
different things. We might not know the reason, but we know that it's the Most High's plan. So we can't cry about it. We can't make ourselves a pity party or whatnot because it's the Most High's plan. We got to know that it's the Most High's plan. And if we want something to change, we got to put it into action. We got to start praying. We got to start moving in a righteous way. That's the only way that things are going to change. Listen to you.
And now it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me father to Pharaoh, master of his entire household, and ruler throughout the entire land of Egypt. Hurry, go up to my father and say to him, so said your son Joseph, God has made me master of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not delay. You will reside in the land of Goshen, and you will be near to me, you, your sons, your grandchildren, your flocks, and your cattle, and all that is yours. I will provide for you there, for there will be 5 more years of famine, so you do not become destitute, you, your household, and all that is yours. Behold, your eyes see as through the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that is speaking to you. Therefore tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and all that you saw. But you must hurry and bring my father down here. Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. He then kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. Afterwards his brothers conversed with him.
All right. You see right there that he's still in this spirit. Like, dang, I'm getting to see my brothers again. I thought I'd never see them. I'm so happy for this because I was sold into Egypt. Anything could have happened to me. I could have been. I was cast into the dungeon. I was accused of rape, and all these terrible things happened to me, and I still began to prosper. And the Most High continued to watch over me. So he's crying. He sees his little brother like, dang, I didn't get to see you for years. I know Ema died giving birth to you. I'm like, dang, you didn't get to see him for a long time. It's a joyous, but at the same time, it's like, dang, you get to relieve, you get to like sigh, like, damn, yeah, we're finally in a state where we can be happy amongst each other. We're finally in a state where we're growing past our differences. We're growing past what happened in the past. We're trying to come together as family. Let's continue.
Sorry. The news was heard in Pharaoh's palace, saying, Joseph's brothers have come, and it was pleasing in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do this, load up your animals and go directly to the land of Canaan. Bring your father and your household to come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. And you are commanded to say, do this, take yourselves from the land of Egypt, wagons for your small children and for your wives. Transport your father and come, and let your eye not take pity on your belongings. For the best of all the land of Egypt, it is yours. The sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons by Pharaoh's word, and he gave them provisions for the journey. To each of them he gave changes of clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothing. And to his father he sent the following: 10 he donkeys laden with the best of Egypt, and 10 she donkeys laden with grain, bread, and food for his father for the journey.
All right, you see right there that the Pharaoh, he seen this thing. He was like, dang, this is a good thing. You get to see your family back together. Bring them, come on, they can rest in Goshen. I'm gonna send them chariots. I'm gonna send them wagons. I'm gonna make sure they look good. I'm gonna send them grain and all this, all that. And you gotta realize that these weren't like the original Egyptians. My studies, I see that a lot of people say that it's the Hyksos that took over Egypt, and they became like to adopt the culture of the Egyptians, because the Egyptians didn't really like the Canaanite people. So if it was like the original Egyptians, if it was the real Egyptians, then they wouldn't be so happy and inviting for bringing Canaanite people into their land, because they know that they're constantly in war with those people. So you got to think about it like that. Like it's also like a sign to like the Most High, how great He is, showing that like the Egyptians are inviting Canaanite people into their land and giving them some of the best parts of the land. giving them some of the best chariots, some of the best wagons, some of the best of their products, just because of the name of Joseph, just because of the name of the Most High.
And he sent off his brothers, and they went. He said to them, "Do not become agitated on the way." They went up from Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to Jacob their father. And they told him, saying, "Joseph is still alive, and that he is ruler over all the land of Egypt." But his heart rejected it, for he could not believe them. However, when they related to him all the words that Joseph had spoken to them, and he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to transport him, then the spirit of their father Jacob was revived. And Israel said, "How great my son Joseph still is! I shall go and see him before I die."
All right, you know, like when you've been lied to a lot, when you've been crossed, when you know all these bad things happen to you, you don't want to believe in the good at first. When something good happens in your life, you're like, "Nah, that's not true. That's too good to be true. That's not happening." That's how Israel was. He was like, "Nah, Joseph can't be alive. I already mourned for him. It's been years. It's been over a decade. Like, dang, I haven't seen my son in forever. Like, this can't be it." And then he starts to see the wagons, the chariots. He's like, oh my gosh. He's about to start crying. He's in shock. He's like, dang, I finally get to see my son. Like, the Most High is good. Like, all these things good. Like, I could finally die in peace. You know how, like, blessed you have to be when you say, I could die in peace? Like, he lived a long old age. He's seen a lot of things, and it's like, he's like, dang, I don't have nothing else to live for. Like, everything in my life happened how it happened, and I'm happy. Like, when you're in a state of happiness, when you're like, dang, I don't need anything else. Like, I don't need anything else. I got my sons, I got my wives, I got everything that I wanted. And that's how he was feeling. He's like, dang, I got everything that I wanted after so much turmoil, after so much pain that happened in my life.
So Israel set out with all that he had, and he came to Beersheba, where he slaughtered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to Israel in night visions, and he said, "Jacob, Jacob," and he said, "Here I am." And he said, "I am the God of your father. Have no fear of descending to Egypt, for I shall establish you as a great nation there. I shall descend with you to Egypt, and I shall also surely bring you up, and Joseph shall place his hand on your eyes."
All right. You see, even though he knew it was a great thing, even though knew this was like so good, so great, he wanted to come before the Most High. He wanted to come before the Most High. That's all great men do. They come to the Most High before their decisions. If they hesitate about doing something, they come to the Most High, and the Most High gonna give them answers. That's right. So he sacrificed, and the Most High seen him that same night and told him, "Go ahead. This is good. That Joseph is gonna protect you in Egypt. He's gonna watch over you, and this is gonna be a good." Because he already knew that the land of Canaan was promised to him. So he's like, "Dang, should I leave the land that's already promised to me to go into Egypt?" He's like contemplating, like, "Dang, what should I do?" But the Most High showed him answers. The Most High is going to show you answers if you come to the Most High. You just got to come to the Most High in the correct way. You have to just be in a Holy Spirit. You just have to be in the right state of mind, and the Most High is going to answer your questions.
That's right.
So Jacob arose from Beersheba. The sons of Israel transported Jacob their father, as well as their young children and wives, and the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to transport him. They took their livestock and their wealth which they had amassed in the land of Canaan, and they came to Egypt, Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his grandsons with him, his daughters and granddaughters, and all his offspring he brought with him to Egypt.
All right, you see they got tens and hundreds, they got about hundreds of chariots, and they marching out of the land of Canaan. This got to be a wondrous sight. Like, dang, like you gotta imagine like the Canaanite people, like, dang, what's going on over there? They got the golden chariots, they got the best donkeys, they got grain. Like, dang, what's going on? And it's amazing like how nobody just came up to them and tried to like harass them or tried to like check them or whatever. It's just amazing how the Most High protect them and how they went out in like a bang, how they went out in like in glory, how the Most High just protect them and show them His blessing, His spirit, and that guided them out of the land of Canaan into Egypt.
Right.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel who were coming to Egypt: Jacob and his children. Jacob's firstborn, Reuben. Reuben's sons, Hanak, Palu, Hezron,
and Carmi. Simeon's sons, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, son of the Canaanite woman. Levi's sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Judah's sons, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan had died in the land of Canaan, and Perez's sons were Hezron and Hamul. Issachar's sons, Tola, Puva, Eov, and Shimron. Zebulun's sons, Sered, Elon, and Jalil. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob and Padan Aram, in addition to Dinah, his daughter. All the people, his sons and daughters, numbered 33. Gad's sons, Ziphion, Haggai, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Aradi, and Aradi. Asher's sons, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, and their sister Sarah. And Beriah's sons, Heber and Malkiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban had given to Leah, his daughter. These she bore to Jacob, 16 people, the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph, and Benjamin. To Joseph were born in the land of Egypt, whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, chief of On, bore to him, Manasseh and Ephraim. Benjamin's sons, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mufim, Hupim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. Dan's sons, Hushim. Naphtali's sons, Jazil, Guni, Jezer, and Shalem. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban had given to Rachel, his daughter. She bore these to Jacob, 7 people in all. All the persons coming with Jacob to Egypt, his own descendants, aside from the wives of Jacob's sons, 66 persons in all. And Joseph's sons who were born to him in Egypt numbered 2 persons. All the people of Jacob's household who came to Egypt, 70.
All right. You see right there, I just let him read it out because it's important that we hear these names, these Hebrew phrases, these Hebrew names and words. It's important that we say it, we get it on our tongue, we get it in our ears. Because this is our culture, this is our people. So we got to get back into naming our people with Hebrew names, with names of importance. Because you start translating names, you know, these names are powerful. They don't just mean like, they aren't just like some simple name like Bob or whatever. They don't have no meaning. You might go to school or something. You might have a crazy name. You be like, man, what's your name mean? I don't know. My mama just named it. She just seen it on a little TV show. She's like, oh, that sounds good. She just named it. But no, these names have power. They have meaning. They got strength in our names. So important. If we have our seed, we got to name something with power, with meaning. We got, because a lot of times in Tanakh, we see that these names kind of prophesy what these people are going to do. These names got, they predict the future. They say like the characteristics of a person or what's going on during that time. So like, and it's important that we also keep a record of our history, of our generations, because we know a lot of these generations, when they went down to Egypt, they lost their generation. They didn't know who they came from. Only the Levites really kept records of who was their fathers and who were their uncles and cousins and whatnot. Everybody else, they was like, they mixed, they got together with other people or whatever. They stopped keeping records. So it's important that we keep the records. If you look in like your old Bibles, you'll see that it says your father's name and your husband's and all that. They used to keep their records. Yeah, keep their little genealogy and their little Bibles back in the day. But we need to keep records of that because it's important. We see a lot of times throughout the prophets that I can't remember who it was, but they was trying to gain back the priesthood, and then the man came up and said he's a priest, but Nehemiah. It said he's a priest, but they couldn't find no record of him, so he was dismissed. He couldn't be a priest. So it's important that we keep record of our genealogy, whether, I'm the son of this, I'm the son of that. You know, they got all these ancestries and all these genealogy going far back. You this percent of African, you this percent of Cameroonian, you a little bit of Nigerian. But it's important that we get our great grandfathers, we get our great grandparents. We don't even know that sometimes. We don't even know, like, dang, I don't know my great grandparents. You might not even seen them before, because we know we're not living the same type of lives. Our grandparents dying in like 70s and 80s and whatnot, so we might not even see our great grandparents. We gotta have that conversation with our parents, like, dang, what was your name? Where did they grow up? How was their life like? We gotta document this stuff. It's very important.
And Joseph's sons who were born to him in Egypt, he sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to prepare ahead of him in Goshen, and they arrived in the region of Goshen. Joseph harnessed his chariot and went up to meet Israel, his father, in Goshen. He appeared before him, fell on his neck, and he wept on his neck excessively. Then Israel said to Joseph, now I can die after my having seen your face, because you are still alive. And Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and I will say to him, my brothers and my father's household who are in the land of Canaan have come to me. The men are shepherds, for they have been cattlemen. Their flocks and cattle and everything they own they have brought. And it shall be when Pharaoh summons you and says, what is your occupation? And you are to say, your servants have been cattlemen from our youth till now, both we and our forefathers, so that you may be able to settle on the region of Goshen, since our shepherds are abhorrent to Egyptians.
All right, you see right there that it's a certain thing that's going wrong during this portion. We see that how powerful just Judah is. That Israel, he sent Judah ahead of him. He said, make sure everything's all right. Go meet up with Joseph, make sure everything's all right. That Judah was kind of like the leader of the family right now. And we see that that's kind of prophetic, because Judah started to take over Israel. Judah had David, had Solomon, and we see that the kingdom is going to continue through the line of David. So Judah is just really important. Just him in this instance, just taking charge, just taking a hold of what he's supposed to do. It's just so influential on his generations. So we got to think about everything we do. It's not just for us, but it's for our children and their children's children. Because we could do one simple thing wrong, and we can have a curse that's generational, or we can have a blessing that's to the end of times. As we see a lot of times, we take on these curses, and we just live through these curses, not trying to end these curses, or not trying to end these generational curses that we have upon our family. We just live through it, and we're not trying to improve. So we got to end these curses. We got to do things that's going to give us a blessing that's internally.
Continue. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh, and he said, my father and my brothers, their flocks, their cattle, and everything they own have arrived from the land of Canaan, and they are now in the region of Goshen. From the least of his brothers, he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? They answered Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, we as well as our forefathers. And they said to Pharaoh, we have come to sojourn in the land, since there is no grazing for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. Now, if you please, allow your servants to dwell in the region of Goshen.
All right, he had to take out 5 of his brothers, the clean brothers, the brothers that freshen up nice, the brothers that know how to talk. You can't bring everybody to every event, Even if you got that one friend, you're like, nah, I can't really take him. This is a little elegant event. You got to dress up for this one. I don't even know if this brother even got a suit or whatever. You can't bring everybody to every event. That's just Joseph using a little foresight, just saying, okay, I'm gonna pick these brothers out. I know these brothers know how to talk. I know they know how to shut up. I know they know how to eat. I know they know how to present themselves before somebody. So you gotta just make sure you just don't bring everybody to everywhere. Everything is not for everybody. You can't be a part of everything. If your thing is you a butcher, then you gotta stay with the butchers. If your thing is you're a spokesperson, then you stay and you speak to people. You just gotta know what's right for you and what's not right for you. And that's gonna save you a lot of trouble in the future. Let's continue.
And Pharaoh said to Joseph, saying, Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you, and the best part of the land. Settle your father and your brothers. Let them settle in the region of Goshen. And if you know that there are capable men among them, appoint them as chamberlains over the livestock that belongs to me. Then Joseph brought Jacob his father and presented him to Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob, How many are the days of the years of your life? Jacob answered Pharaoh, The days of the years of my sojourns have been 130 years. Few and bad have been the days of my life, and they have not reached the lifespans of my forefathers in the days of their sojourns. Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and left Pharaoh's presence. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers, and he gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best part of the land, in the region of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Joseph sustained his father and his brothers and all of his father's household with food according to the children. Now there was no bread in all the earth, for the famine was very severe. The land of Egypt and the land of Canaan became weary from hunger. Joseph gathered all the money that was to be found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan through the provisions that they were purchasing, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's palace. And when the money was exhausted from the land of Egypt and from the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, saying, Give us bread, why should we die in your presence? For the money is gone. And Joseph said, Bring your livestock, and I will provide for you in return for your livestock, if the money is gone. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in return for the horses, for the flocks of sheep, for the herds of cattle, and for the donkeys. Thus he provided them with bread in exchange for all their livestock during that year. And when that year ended, they came to him in the next year and said to him, We will not withhold from our Lord that with the money and flocks of cattle having been exhausted to my Lord. Nothing is left before my Lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Acquire us and our land for bread, and we with our land will become serfs to Pharaoh, and provide seed so that we may live and not die, and the land will not become desolate. Thus Joseph acquired all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for every Egyptian sold his field because the famine had overwhelmed them, and the land became Pharaoh's. As for the nation, he resettled it by cities from one end of Egypt's borders to the other. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, since the priests had a stipend from Pharaoh, and they lived off their stipend that Pharaoh had given them. Therefore they did not sell their land. Joseph said to the people, Look, I have acquired you this day with your land for Pharaoh. Here receive for you, sow the land. At the ingathering of the harvest you will give a fifth to Pharaoh. The other 4 parts shall be yours, as seed for the field and food for yourselves and for those in your household, and to feed your young ones. And they said, You have saved our lives. May we find favor in your eyes, my Lord, and we will be serfs to Pharaoh. So Joseph imposed it as a statute to this day regarding the land of Egypt. It was Pharaoh's for the fifth. Only the priest's land alone did not become Pharaoh's. Thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt in the region of Goshen. They acquired property in it, and they were fruitful and multiplied greatly. Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 70 years. In the days of Jacob, the years of his life were 147 years. The time approached for Israel to die, so he called for his son Joseph and said to him, Please, if I have found favor in your eyes, please place your hand under my thigh and do kindness and truth with me. Please do not bury me in Egypt, for I will lie down with my fathers, and you shall transport me out of Egypt and bury me in their tomb. He said, I personally will do as you have said. He replied, Swear to me. And he swore to him. Then Israel prostrated himself towards the head of the bed.
All right, you see right there that Joseph, even when times came trouble upon people, but the people they lost all their money, and then the Egypt, the capital, had all the money. He said, all right, send me your cattle, send me your cattle. You still got something, send me your cattle. Then when they lost all their cattle, he said, all right, sell me your land. And now we know that no economy can work if the government got all the power, got all the money. So he said, all right, I'll give you seeds. But just know, if I give you these seeds, and you told the land that it's going to be a tax, it's going to be a fifth part of it, it's going to be a fifth that I asked for. And so all the people's like, yeah, we'll do that. You're giving us free seeds? All right, we'll do that. So they started, it rebuilt the economy. Even though he took almost everything from the people, he gave back to the people and allowed them to regrow and gain a little bit of what they had back. And it's just important how we just see, how we just look at the end of the days of Israel, how he was just satisfied. He even talked about a lot of his years were evil and how they was wrong. But at the end of the time, he was satisfied. He was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Take me and bury me with my forefathers. Bury me with my father's buried, where his father is buried. And that's just a beautiful thing that even before he went, he had provisions. He had things that he set up before he died. And it's just, I know a lot of times we don't like to talk about death. We don't like to set up things to where we die. But it's inevitable. It's something that's very realistic. So we gotta set up things. We gotta talk to our brothers, our family, our children, or whatever it be, and set up things so when we die, we're set. We make sure that we're set. We're not scrambling for change or money, trying to throw a funeral or bury somebody somewhere or find a casket. Because a lot of times that's what happens, especially with our people. We don't have no life insurance, or we don't have anything put away to when we die. So all the family got to struggle. They got to start a GoFundMe. They got to scrape their change, go in debt just to bury you. So that shouldn't be another burden they have to deal with. So you got to make sure that you go out in an unselfish way, that you go out. They already got to worry about your death. They already got to grieve over you. But now they got to grieve over the money they lost too. They got to grieve over the debt that they about to gain just to bury you. So it's important that we set out these things and we set ourselves up for the future, even though especially the things that we know are inevitable. So we know death's inevitable, so we need to set out for that. We need to organize ourselves so when we go, it's in a way where our family can be set. Amen. That's the end of the portion of Hallelujah. I thank the Most High. I thank everybody for listening.
Hallelujah.
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 Y'all said he read a little bit past the end of the portion. Did you notice how the portion ended?
Yes.
It said, and Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt. Y'all can sit down. In the country of Goshen.
Yes.
And they had possessions therein. And they grew and they multiplied exceedingly. Yeah. Let's take it all in context now, right? We call this place Goshen, but let's take it all in context. When they were in the land of Egypt, were they foreigners there?
Yes.
Right. That means the Most High God can bless us no matter where we are geographically. Amen? Amen. Then you have to think about what Joseph did. Joseph set up a situation where it was almost like forced segregation. Mm-hmm. Think about that. He said, when you go there, tell them you are herdsmen and cattlemen, because that's an abomination to them, so they're not going to want to deal with y'all. So they're going to put y'all over there. Mm-hmm. So he manipulated the situation so that they could dwell by themselves.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Why? Ask yourself why. When you see what happens there, the dominant culture in Egypt was Egyptian culture, right? Okay. If the Israelites would have dwelt and completely assimilated into Egyptian culture, they would have altogether become Egyptian. Mm-hmm. Right. So what happens when they got their own land? Y'all catching it? Mm-hmm. And they dwelt together. Mm-hmm. Y'all catching it? Mm-hmm. And they got together their resources. Right. Y'all catching it? And they did very, very well, regardless to whatever land they were in. Then you can see the purpose of what we're doing here in Goshen. That's right. Right? Because Joseph wasn't being an elitist. Right? Mm-hmm. Joseph wasn't being a racist. Joseph wasn't being biased. He was being strategic and wise. Mm-hmm. Because what happened, he's created a situation that allows them to maintain their own moral codes. That's right. Right? To maintain their own family structure, right? To maintain the path of the Most High God as they understood it, right? Okay. Because if they would have all together been in where? Ramesses, they would have been praying around a couple generations. Right. They would have all together become part of that social structure. Right. So what we're doing here now is we're trying to, model what our forefathers left on record as something that can work for us. Mm-hmm. Y'all with me? Okay. Because They knew they were in a land that was not their own. But they wanted to set up the best situation so that they could have the most success.
That's right.
And they were successful until the coming of the king. Think about what happened. They didn't leave Egypt until it was time for them to go back home. They didn't leave Goshen until it was time for them to go back home, and that was the doing of the Lord.
That's right.
Nowadays, we find ourselves in a similar situation where the dominant culture is a culture that does not go along with our moral standards. Amen?
That's right.
It does not go along with our code of ethics. Amen? And that dominant culture has influence over even the adults. I'm telling the truth.
Right.
The truth.
It has impact over the children. How much more?
Even more.
So we have to use the wisdom that Joseph had, and try to create a situation that allows us to best keep our own morals and create a situation with group economics where we can build our own resources because we already saw how it turned out for them. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So we're going to call up my brother right here. He's going to do the haftarah, not too long, because we know Prince is going to go longer than we asked him to. Hallelujah.
We're going to be reading Ezekiel 37, 15 through 28.
30 what?
37, 15 through 28. I'm going to let him read. I'm going to let him read the whole thing, and I'm going to summarize it. And then, huh?
I got it.
Ezekiel 37, 15 through 28. All right.
You said from 15 to 28?
Yeah.
All right. The word of the Lord came to me, and you, O mortal, take a stick and write on it of Yehuda and the Yisraelim associated with him, and take another stick and write on it of Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Yisrael associated with him. Bring them close to each other, so that they become one stick, joined together in your hand. And when any of your people ask you, won't you tell us what these actions of yours mean? And answer them, thus said the Lord God, I am going to take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and of the tribes of Yisrael associated with him, and I will place the stick of Yehuda upon it, and make them into one stick. They shall be joined in my hand. You shall hold up before their eyes the sticks which you have inscribed, and you shall declare to them, thus saith the Lord God, I am going to take the Yisraelim people from among the nations they have gone to, and gather them from every quarter, and bring them to their own land. I will make them a single nation in the land, on the hills of Yisrael, and one king shall be king of them all. Never again shall they be two nations, and never again shall they be divided into two kingdoms, nor shall they ever defile themselves by their fetishes and their abhorrent things, and by their own transgressions. I will save them in their settlements where they sinned, and I will cleanse them. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their God. Verse 24. My servant David shall be king over them. There shall be one shepherd for all of them. They shall follow my rules and faithfully obey my laws. Thus they shall remain in the land which I gave to my servant Jacob, and in which your Abraham dwelt. They and their children, and their children's children, shall dwell there forever, with my servant David as their prince for all time. I will make a covenant of friendship with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. I will establish them and multiply them. And I will place my sanctuary among them forever. Verse 27. My presence shall rest over them. My presence shall rest over them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And when my sanctuary abides among them forever, the nations shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Yisrael.
Alright, so basically we got 2 great kingdoms. We got Judah and his family, and the southern kingdom. We got the northern kingdom, which is Ephraim and his family. And most sides them bring them together, bring them in one land. Bring them in one land as one kingdom. And Judah gonna rule over the kingdom. Because of the promise that Most High made with David. And also, Most High gonna get rid of all their idols and cleanse them from all their sins and all their bad doings. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Hallelujah. What does it sound like the moral of that portion was?
We're better
United.
Yeah. It's about unity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because back then there was a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom was Israel, and Israel was ran by who? Ephraim. And then the southern kingdom was ran by who? Judah, right? But they were all the children of Israel.
That's right.
But they were split up. So the Most High God said what he was going to do, he was going to repair that breach, right? He was going to repair that division because they were meant to be one people. Amen? Amen. One thing I really like about the portion that we did this week is about the history of Joseph. Let's look at the life of Joseph. It's very important. Joseph was the firstborn of Israel's most loved wife, right? Amen? That's the only one he signed up for, to be technical, right? That was his most loved wife, and Joseph was his firstborn from her. So what Israel did, he showed them slightly preferential treatment, right? He gave him that fly coat, because that's his boy, right? So he was styling on him. But what happened was in the family, people started hating him because he was loved. They was hating him just because he was loved. And that's going to happen sometimes in life. But the message in that story is it'll show you what sticking to your morals can do. Because even though he was hated, the hate caused him the first plan to kill him. Y'all remember the plan? But then they decided for the little ones of them that had conscience that I'm not going to kill them. I'll just sell them into slavery. So now, up to that point, you didn't read anything about Joseph sinning. Right? Right. Did you read about him sinning up to that point? No. So at that point, that was an innocent man sold into slavery. So then when he went into slavery, because he kept the morals of the Torah and the righteousness of God, the Most High God created a situation that allowed him to rise to the top, even in slavery. Right? So when he was in slavery for no fault of his own, he was accused. He was accused of being a rapist. Even worse at that, falsely accused. And then he was thrown into jail. So now he went from being a slave to a prisoner. But even when he was a prisoner, he kept his morals. Amen? Yes, he did. And so he kept the righteousness of the Torah. So even if you find yourself in slavery or if you find yourself in jail, the Most High God can also reach you there for a blessing.
That's right.
So even though he found himself in a horrible situation for no fault of his own, it was still a place where the Most High God could reach him and bless him. Amen? Yeah. Because he kept the morals. So then through that situation, he ended up in a situation where he stood before the Pharaoh, which was the leader of the known world at that time. Amen? And if you read in this portion, he said he became as a father to Pharaoh. Did y'all catch that? That means that Pharaoh was like his mentee. That was like he was like his son. But what made him qualified for that? What made him qualified for that position?
His understanding
His dedication to the Most High.
You think it was his ability to read dreams?
Dedication.
Because when they said, asked him, when they said to Pharaoh, came to him and said, I heard that you could read dreams. What was his response? He said it was God. Right? So what brought him to that position was the Most High. Amen. So now if you look in the next week portion, getting a little bit ahead, he said to him, and this is the point right here. When they were talking back after Jacob died, and he said to him, they said, you know what? We know we messed up. We know that you're probably going to want to penalize us. Our pap said to go to you and just offer ourselves as servants. Y'all remember his reply? He said, you thought it to me for evil, right?
Yeah.
You were plotting against me, and you thought that your plots and your schemes were going to be things that harm me. You thought that it was going to be things to tear me down. Your whole intention and plans were to rip me down. But he said, but God meant it for good. So, you know, sometimes you got to keep that in mind, because we might find ourselves in situations where we like, why they hating on me? Why they trying to bother me? I don't bother nobody. Why is all this misfortune happening to me? Another caliber of person, when they sold into slavery, they could have gave up their faith. They could have gave up on God. They could have gave up on any ideas of coming back from that situation, because they said, according to my own morals, according to the balance that's allotted for the righteous, I shouldn't even be going through this. Right? I shouldn't be going through this. What did I do to deserve this? Anybody ever felt like that? What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
But they meant it for evil. And the Most High God meant it for good. Sometimes we don't see the whole situation because we in a situation. Sometimes we can't see God's whole plan because it's not necessary or mandatory that he disclose it to us.
That's right.
But we can see consistently is what David said, from when he was young to when he was old, he never seen the righteous forsaken. Amen? Hallelujah. So if you maintain your righteousness through it, know to the end is salvation. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So we're going to call up Prince to do a small portion, not too long. And then we're going to go out for lunch. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
You hear that? Small portion. All right. Shabbat shalom, family. I actually wanted y'all to take a break for a few minutes because I see that you've been sitting for quite a while. I looked in the thing, it was like 2 hours we've been in, for 2 hours. So if y'all want to just take a small wee break, like 5 minutes, refresh yourself, go to the restroom, do what you got to do, get up, stretch your legs, give yourself like 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back, we're going to get it in. All right?
Hallelujah. Now you sing a song, man. Sing a song for another 5 minutes. Hallelujah. Yeah. Yeah. Come on, man. Now you just select solution for all.
We are chilling. It's like everybody on the break. I'm going to sit right here.
You sit right here and sing. You want to sit right there and sing? Hallelujah.
Okay.
It's a
the remix.
You know Beetle in that song. You know Beetle in that song.
Oh, you're going to sit there? Okay.
4 minutes and 29 seconds.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you know all the songs.
That's good. That's good. They can sing along.
Do anybody know the song Amongst the Gods?
No.
There is none like unto you.
Seem like you know the
Psalms
words.
83. None of y'all know that?
Nah. Sing it.
I don't know it. You don't want me to sing.
Just start off. Let's start off. Let's pick it up.
Yeah, we'll pick it up.
Among the gods,
There is none.
like unto thee.
Okay.
Not all hidden works like unto thy words.
Yeah, that is a song.
All nations whom thou hast made She'll come and worship before thee,
Oh God.
and she'll glorify thy name, for thou art great and doest wondrous things. Whoa! That's my shot right there.
Thou art great and do wondrous things. Thou art great and do wondrous things. Oh yeah. Thou art great. Thou art great and do wondrous.
Say it again, say it again.
Thou art great and do wondrous.
That's right, that's right.
Thou art great. Thou art great and do wondrous things. Thou art great and do wondrous things.
Teach me thy ways, O Creator, and I will walk in thy truth.
Okay.
You guys my mind, and I will hear thy name.
Oh, wow. Not the vocals.
There you go.
He put the country version.
Praise thee, oh my soul, and I will glorify.
And I will glorify thy name.
Help you in the clutch, yes.
Thou art great.
That was your Jessica.
Yes.
Wondrous.
I don't know. I'm having fun. I'm listening to that.
Yeah, that's my shot right there, boy. That's my shot.
Thou art great and do
Go ahead, sis.
wondrous things.
Go ahead, sis. Hit it.
Thou art great and do wondrous things.
There is no power like unto the creator of all creation. Our master, our provider, our giver, our sustainer. He and he alone rules in the heavens above and looks down upon man in the earth beneath and decides whether good or evil for that man based upon the integrity of that man. Most High is great.
Thou art great and do wondrous things.
Y'all ready? Ready to get started?
Yeah.
5 more minutes.
That was my fault.
That was 5 minutes and 57 seconds. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Child.
Yeah, let's get started.
Is this
You
one?
got that? Tell everybody.
It's Prince.
All right, let's go, y'all. We're gonna do this.
Oh, I just found it. Sorry.
You found it?
That's right.
Are you ready to sing it for us?
Next time, man.
Are you good?
Oh,
You gonna learn it?
what?
You gonna learn it and then sing it?
No, I think I know it. I just was just making sure.
Well, come on, let's go.
Next time. Come in.
Come on, let's do your
I
teacher.
did the service. You know how the Israelites get when they don't eat too long, man.
You know about that?
They're gonna be ready to stone you in a moment.
We
hungry.
Yes, we're hungry. Well, y'all might want to get some food, go snack or
No,
something.
we can't do that. Let's just go.
We're gonna feed our soul.
All right, we have a request for a portion of a lesson. So I'm going to read a little bit of this one portion. But my main lesson, I want to come out of the book of Ruth, the first chapter. Okay? So y'all might want to go out and invite all your friends to come in and watch this because we ready to drop some jewels. These are the types of things that Israel need to elevate to that next level of understanding and relationship with the Most High King. This is what we need to do. So let's get busy. Get your notebooks, your piece of paper, your pens, your pencils, your computers, your recording devices, and take notes because we get ready to travel. We're going to come out of the book of Leviticus, the 19th chapter. I pray that the Most High guide my mind, my spirit, my body, my language, and my speech as I approach unto you, his people. Tell everybody. Go right, Bavakasha. You might want to come a little closer, or lift your voice up some so they can hear you. All right. Thank you.
What chapter?
Leviticus, the 19th chapter. This is called my love chapter. For those of us who want to know about love, This is where you go. This is how the Most High teaches us to love each other. Leviticus, the 19th chapter. We're going to read down a couple verses and then we're going to jump to the main story, the topic about Ruth. Whenever you're ready, Aki.
Goshen, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the whole Israelite community and say to them, You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. You shall each revere his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I, the Lord, am your God. Do not turn to idols or make molten gods for yourself.
Oh, I need you to start over again. Pay attention to what's being said. It's deep. It's really deep. I know you're hurt, but I want you to let it seep into your spirit. Say again, please.
The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the whole Israelite community.
Speak to who?
The whole Israelite community.
Does that include you, family? Okay, so now you know that the Most High is speaking to us. Read on, let's see what he says.
And say to them, You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy.
What does that mean, to be holy? Has anybody ever really taken and considered what it means to be holy? I mean, really think. What does it mean to be holy? And it says, watch it, because it says, Be holy, for I, thy power, am holy. So that means we're supposed to emulate or imitate the actions of the Most High on earth. Who has a child that don't want their child to repeat their behavior in life? Conduct themselves. That's why we teach our children to be like us or to walk in our ways. We're supposed to teach our children by example. Well, the Most High is our Father, and He's showing us through the Scriptures as an example as to how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. The first principle of those commandments was to be ye holy, be ye separated, for I am separated, or I am holy. That's right. It ties into what Nasik was talking about earlier with the land of Goshen, when Joseph took his brothers and set them up in a certain place to separate them so that they can maintain their identity. There's a distinguishing feature when you come upon a child of Israel and when you come upon a regular black man. Something distinguishing is supposed to be about him before he even opens his mouth. You should be able to feel his aura emulating from him and the energy that he brings before he says two words. Now, how many of you have that effect on people? Because if you don't, it means you got to get deeper into your focus and your concentration on the Most High. Everywhere you go, people should know you before you open your mouth. Read on, please.
Do not turn to idols or make molten gods for yourself.
Now, that's been a problem we had for many years. The problem is that many of us don't think that we're worshiping idols. Many of us think that this is what we are commanded to do. My advice to you is, if the power you serve did not create the heavens and the earth, and was not the father of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yisrael, then you may be worshiping and serving the wrong power. Read on, please.
When you sacrifice an offering of well-being to the Lord, sacrifice it so that there may be accepted on your behalf.
Now stop for a second. When you sacrifice an offering of well-beings unto the Most High, then we can all do that on our own individual levels. For whatever it is that we desire of the Most High, something is required of us. So be willing to give up something in your life in order to receive something from the Almighty in your life. Which means you just don't walk around doing the same old things you've been doing before you say, Creator, I'm ready to change. Creator, this is what I want to do. So I lay it down before you. Help me. You're asking the Most High for something. Now, what are you willing to sacrifice? My advice would be that thing, that problem, that situation that you are in because of your behavior, sacrifice that behavior to the Almighty to receive help from Him. Let's say if you're a lazy brother, all right? So if you're lazy, if you're lazy and you don't want to be, and this is just a small thing to use as an example, but yet a powerful move. And you don't want to be lazy anymore, and you pray to the Creator for help to get you a job, to get you some work, or to give you understanding. and you acknowledge and you admit to the Most High that you're lazy. When you get up off that floor after asking the Most High for his help, you do everything in your power not to be lazy again.
That's right.
So if you normally lay in the bed every day and get up around 8, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock even, and talking about you want to make some money and you want to know how to get paid,
Half the day is gone.
it's gone. You got to get up 5 o'clock at the latest. Get up out the bed by 5:30 and be out of your house before 6 o'clock. Exploring the world so that you don't be lazy. Even if you ain't got a job, get up and do something. You'll be surprised at the type of things that will come your way when you move in this type of spirit. Change your behavior. You have to be willing to sacrifice something if you want something from this king. Usually whatever your issue is, that's the thing you sacrifice. Read on, please.
It shall be eaten on the day you sacrifice it, or on the day following. But what is left by the third day must be consumed by fire. If it should be eaten on the third day, it is an offensive thing. It will not be acceptable. And he who eats of it shall bear his guilt, for he has profaned what is sacred unto Yahuwah.
If you return back into that thing that you offered as a sacrifice to the Most High, you gave it up, and then you return, I'm not going to stop sleeping with all these women. I'm only sleep with my woman, my wife. And that's the only one I'm going to be with. Now, this is real. Some of y'all, most of us, none of us probably don't have that problem. I'm sure we don't. But this is real because we're talking to other people. So this is a real issue that plagues men today. So once that man says, Creator, I don't want to be a whoremonger anymore, and he gets up off that floor, he cannot do it again. If he goes back to being a whoremonger again, what did the Most High say would happen to that brother? It wouldn't be accepted. His offering wouldn't be accepted to him. What did he say?
He's gonna he's gonna bear his guilt.
He's gonna bear that guilt. So that means that anything could take place in your life now as a curse from the Creator for you returning back to that vomit that you threw up. Read on, please.
And he who eats of it shall bear his guilt, for he has profaned what is sacred to Yahuwah. That person shall be cut off from his kin.
Now he's going to teach us how to love. Read on, please.
When you reap the harvest of your land.
When you reap the harvest of your land. Now we got all this land now. We're growing a little bit of food out here somewhere. But we got some trees that produce some food. Watch what happens. Read on.
When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field.
You shouldn't glean all the way to the edges of your field. Now, this is how you learn love. These are the principles of love. You are to leave the outskirts of the field for who?
The widow, the homeless, and the fatherless.
Why?
Because they don't have us.
Because you love them.
Okay.
See, love is not something that you do for somebody that you like. Or even somebody that you know. You see, Israel, we have been consumed with the ways of the world. We have lost our understanding of what love is. True love. The Most High is now teaching us how to show love. Read on, please.
You shall not pick your vineyard bare, or gather the fallen fruit of your vineyard. You shall leave it for the poor and the stranger.
You should leave it for the poor and the stranger. It's called Zadika or Zedekah. Some people say. I say Zadika. It's Zadika today. Okay? All right. So now, what it is a form of charity. It's about giving to others without you receiving something in exchange. But in reality, there is nothing that you give to others that you don't receive something in exchange. Because the Most High will provide for you because of the love and the Zadika that you share with others. Okay? Zadika. Read on, please.
You shall not steal. You shall not deal deceitfully or falsely.
Why would you not steal from somebody? Because you love them. Now, when a husband steals from a wife,
no.
He shouldn't.
He should.
He don't love her. If he steals from her, he doesn't love her.
He shouldn't have.
He doesn't love her. Now, here go a good one. Will the child steal from the parent?
They shouldn't, but
Because they love him. See, love governs these things. When the time comes that you are being deceitful in this area of stealing from those who you're supposed to love, it's because you don't love them. So you need to reevaluate your behavior. Yes.
How can you steal from your wife?
How? You can go in her pocketbook without her knowing, take some of that money or case up, put it in your pocket, or take her diamond ring and take it to the jeweler and sell it. And then when she said, "Did you see my diamond ring?" You said, "No, I didn't see that, baby." So you stole.
Yes.
Stole it.
Exactly.
Covered it up.
Something
That belongs to you. Right.
Everything.
It don't matter.
No, that's no. What?
It's the secret.
You won't be getting married.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Your wife better be careful.
Right.
Y'all better be careful. Y'all gonna have everything sold out of here.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to warn her.
Right.
Read on, please.
You gonna steal your stuff.
Let's go forward. Let's go forward, please. We're in the love chapter, teaching us how to love.
Okay.
No stealing.
That's right.
You shall not swear falsely by my name.
You shall
profaning-
not swear falsely by the name of the Most High. So, in other words, no lying.
Or you be like, I swear to God.
Who God? I don't know who God is. You
But I'm
talking about the
saying that
Creator?
people say-
You talking about the Creator? Well, let's get it right. You talking about the Creator?
Yeah, that's what people say though.
All right, no problem. People swear in the name of the Creator like they're telling the truth, and no, they're lying.
Yeah.
Read on, please.
You shall not swear falsely by my name, profaning the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not defraud your fellow. You shall not commit robbery.
You should not defraud your fellow, and you should not commit robbery, all because you love the individual. Read on.
The wages of a laborer shall not remain with you until morning.
Now, this is important. A lot of people don't understand this because we're in this society, and this society teaches us different. You know why the society teaches us this? You get paid at the end of the week, or you get paid at the end of 2 weeks, because society, whoever your boss is, they coming up off that money.
Yeah.
The longer they keep that money in their account, they gain an interest off of it. So they're making money off of the money that they're getting ready to pay you, where you should have been making it if you kept the laws of the Almighty. That's right. When a man works for you, you pay your man at the end of that day. Unless that man agrees and wants to do something other than that, you pay him at the end of that day. Then you're in the law of the Most High. And you only do that because you what? Because you love him. Read on, please. Read on, please.
You shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind.
You shall not place a stumbling. Can you imagine that? You see somebody blind walking down the street, and you put a stool in his way, and
You
sit back
evil.
and laugh.
Just evil.
Sit back and laugh. Now, that's on the physical level. But the spiritual level is a person that you know cannot see the way of truth.
Yeah.
And you do things to just get him to be your friend, but you don't do things to bring him to the Most High. You're putting a stumbling block before the blind. See, our job is to enlighten people unto the glory of the Creator. That same glory that you have. See, you only want people to have what you have if you love them. When you don't love them, you don't want them to have what you have. Would you want your enemy to sit where you sit? To be where you're at and to live like you live? No. You don't want that for your enemy. You only want that for people that you love. Yeah, unless you're going bad.
Right.
Okay? So read on, please.
You shall not render an unfair decision. Do not favor the poor or show deference to the rich.
That's right.
Judge your kinsmen fairly. Do not deal basely with your countrymen. Do not profit by the blood of your fellow. I am the Lord.
Now, all this is based on love. So the portion that I was given today is do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. So if you're demonstrating, Sister Casey, if you're demonstrating the actions of love toward others, then others should be demonstrating that same thing to you. But you can only do that if you want to demonstrate to others how you truly feel inside your essence. And that should be love. Especially when you walk in the name of the Most High. We good, Sister Casey?
Yes.
Did we do all right?
Yes.
Okay, very well. All right. I was commanded yesterday that this is what I better teach on today. So, you know, we men, we got to obey these women. Cause they like bosses over us. They'll punch us in the back of our neck or something. So I didn't want to get punched in the back of the neck. So you know. All right, here we go, family. We're going to go to the first chapter of the book of Ruth. That's our portion for today. The first chapter of the book of Ruth. Did y'all invite everybody y'all know to come and be a part of this?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Do anybody know who Ruth was? Her nationality, according to the scriptures?
She was a Moabite.
She was a Moabitess. You got it right. I read your mind. You was right. Now I read your mind, baby girl. You was right. Okay, I got you. I also heard you. Does anybody know who the Moabites were?
Oh.
They were the Canaanites.
The children of who?
Lot.
Okay. The children of Lot. Do anybody know who Lot was?
Yes.
Who was Lot?
Abraham's nephew.
Abraham's nephew. So if he was Abraham's nephew and Moab was the son of Lot, that would make the Moabites what?
Hebrew.
Hebrew. That's right.
They
They were Hebrew.
They weren't
In a way.
They were Hebrew.
Yeah.
Did somebody just say something?
In a way. Asterisk.
Okay. He says in a way.
They weren't Israel, but they
Okay.
were
With an
Hebrew.
asterisk. I'm not going to argue with that fact. They were Hebrew. Okay? So now, being as though they're Hebrew, who are they supposed to worship? The Most High. The Most High Almighty, right? Very good. Everybody got quiet on that one. I don't like that
No,
part.
that's true for everybody, no
That's
matter
right.
who you say.
Yeah, but the Hebrews is even deeper. Even deeper with the Hebrews. But does anybody know who they served? Who did the Moabites serve?
This stone.
A stone?
Molech.
No, it was kidding. No.
You're close.
Kid.
You're very close. She's sharp. I like her.
I taught her everything.
Chemosh.
Stop lying.
They worship the deity.
Amalia, right? All out the door.
Y'all ready to bring this back together?
Yes.
All right. The Moabites worship the deity called Chemosh.
Chemosh.
Chemosh. All right? In the Chemosh deity, they used to sacrifice little children to their god. Okay? We're reading about a person who came up worshiping a false deity. And believe me, it was strong inside of these people. These people who practice idolatry, they don't play. They teach their children from their youth to serve these deities.
Yep, they do.
Like we try to teach our children how to serve the Creator, but because we are growing up in these inner cities, I want y'all to hear me. Because we don't have a community of Hebrew Israelites, I want y'all to hear me. Right? Because we grow up in these inner cities, our children are learning the ways. That's right. So they're learning how to worship Chemosh. And all them other deities that's out there today. They are.
They are. Subconsciously.
That's right. And physically.
Yeah.
Do you know a lot of those children that's being kidnapped today that nobody know where they are? They're being sacrificed. This idolatry is that's another subject for another day. But it's going somewhere where it shouldn't be. So our children are learning the ways of the heathens. If you can fix that by doing what Nasik Rob spoke about earlier, go on to that little small sanctuary that the Most High created for us in a place called Goshen. While Goshen is in its infancy. Because that's where we at right now. We're in our infancy and we are making history in Goshen. We are preparing to usher in prophecy here in Goshen. So don't wait too long, family. Don't wait till one of yours get knocked off or destroyed or kidnapped or raped out there in the streets. We have a place here where you can come. Already set up for you and your family. Come and be a part where we can worship and learn the ways of the Almighty together. Because that's what it's about. So Ruth, we're going to get into the story of Ruth now, but I wanted to let you know how deep what is embedded in her is embedded in her. All right?
Okay.
Read on, please. Ruth chapter 1, verse 1.
In the days where the chieftains ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah with his wife.
Stop for a second. In the days when the chieftain ruled, the days of the judges, there was a famine in the land. Do anybody remember how it was in the times of the judges? Wicked. It was off the, it was right. Everybody was right in their own mind. It was wicked in the days of the judges. So how did the Most High bless us? He gave us a famine. Okay? So this is giving you a time frame of where we're at in a time of famine. Read on, please.
A man of Bethlehem in Judah with his wife and 2 sons went to reside in the country of Moab.
And this man with his wife and his 2 sons decided they was going to decide to go where?
Moab.
In the land of where?
Moab.
Why?
Because it wasn't a famine.
Because it was a famine. They're searching for a place to live. Keep all this in mind as you're reading. Watch what happens next. Read on, please.
The man's name was Elimelech.
Elimelech.
His wife's name was Naomi.
His wife's name was?
Naomi.
Naomi. Does anybody know what Moab means? From what? From who? From my father. That's right. Lot was his daughter's father who bore Moab.
He was his child.
That's right.
Father and
That's right. Read on, please.
And his 2 sons' names were Mahlon and Hilion.
Keep reading.
Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. They came to the country of Moab and remained there.
Stop for a second. When it says that they were Ephrathites, Nasi touched on that earlier, that Ephraim ruled the land. That's how they're Ephrathites, not by blood. They're Judites by blood. Okay? Their lineage goes back to, what was that? Genesis, the 46th chapter, the 12th verse. And it speaks about a man named Judah having a son named Pharez. And then Pharez had these children later on throughout history, which leads down to Elimelech with his 2 sons, which ends up leading to Boaz, which ends up leading to Jesse or Obed, and then Ori, then Obed, and then Jesse, and then leads to King David. Okay? So although he's called an Ephraimite at this particular time, it doesn't mean he was from the tribe of Ephraim. It only means that Ephraim was the ruling of that town. All right? Very good. That's right.
What's the difference?
The Ephrathite is the descendants of Ephrathah, which is the wife of Caleb, mother of Hor. They lived in around the city of Ephrath, later called Bethlehem.
So they were the Israelites?
Yeah, they
was
were
Judites, but the name of the person who created
the person
city
who
was
governed the town is who they, like right now they would call us Americans, but we're not American. It's because we live in the American region. All right, let's read on.
Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons.
So now, watch how the Most High is laying this out. Elimelech, who was the father, he passed away. And now we got a woman with 2 sons. Courageous men, strong men. And watch what they do. Read on, please.
They married Moabite women, one named Orpah, and the other Ruth.
Now, these Moabite women, they had something within them. They loved, they practiced, they were taught idolatry. But yet these men, who were Hebrew men, took hold of these Moabite idolatrous women and put them underneath their wings. So that what I'm saying to you is, because somebody practices another religion or they practice idolatry, it doesn't mean that you exclude them from the equation. See, we have to learn that we got to be merciful because of what? Because of love. We got to give people an opportunity to show who they really are. And if we don't give them that opportunity and we just dismiss them from the door, then we're not doing the Creator's work. Because we were once as they are. For many of us, y'all who were born on this, you didn't have to experience that. But for many of us, we weren't born on this. And we were once as they are. And had not somebody, the Most High called somebody to show mercy to us, we wouldn't be here today. All right? So just because we have a difference in what we understand to be truth, doesn't mean that you dismiss them and say, that's not going to work. Read on, please.
And they lived about 10 years. Then those two, Mahlon and Chilion, also died.
So they took these husbands, and they lived for at least 10 years in this land, the land of Moab. And these husbands died. Now, I promise you, had Naomi been an evil woman, we wouldn't be reading about this today. Mm-hmm. See, sisters, you have a lot of responsibility that you don't even begin to understand what's taking place with you. You don't even begin. Mostly all the attention is on the men. All the focus is on the men. But if you got an unrighteous sister, that man died. But that man had to have been living a certain way for his wife to still go on with his blessings upon her. Mm. But she had to conduct herself a certain way. Because if she became evil after that man moved on, she wouldn't receive those blessings, would she? She'll get counted according to her behavior. But because she was a righteous woman, she brought blessings to her and anybody that was attached to her after the death of her husband. But watch what Naomi does. Naomi kept the laws of the Most High. Naomi went back to her father's house when her husband died. First, her children had to die first. All the men in her family was destroyed or taken away from her. And while she had her men, her sons, she was cool. She didn't need to go nowhere because her men were strong. Her sons, they were men. They were strong. They was old enough to take wives. So that showed they had strength and character. You follow me so far? Okay. Yeah. Now, once her sons died, and it was all females, Naomi could have said, let me go out and get a job at the Walmart. She could have said that. Or let me go to UPS and see if they're hiring. That was the ways of the Moabites. I know y'all know what I mean. Yes. Yeah. Those were the ways of the Moabites. But what did Naomi do? Because she was moving with a righteous spirit, she said, let me go back to my father's house. That's the laws of the Almighty. And that's what she did. Mm-hmm. There's a scripture that speaks about, in the book of Isaiah, the 4th chapter, the 1st verse, it says, 7 women shall run to one man, saying, I'll buy my own food, clothing, and raiment. Just let me be called by your name to take away my reproach. Okay? 7 women shall gravitate toward one man for that purpose. Okay. Now, they're not going to gravitate toward any man. They had to gravitate toward a righteous man.
That's right.
Because they understand that being attached to a righteous man, a man who fears the Creator, will bring blessings upon you. Right, sis?
Yes.
That's right. Naomi understood that. When her righteous man was done, Naomi still prayed to the Most High. She could have got consumed. She could have went to the ways of the Moabites. Would have been real simple and easy for her to do. She had been there for many years now. What did she do? She went back to the power of her forefathers. She went back to the laws of the Most High. And she returned back to the land of her ancestry. And what happens when they return back?
So the woman was left without her 2 sons and without her husband. She started out with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab. For in the country of Moab, she had heard that the Lord had taken note of his people and given them food, accompanied by her 2 daughters.
Pretty much the famine was over now. Read on. Now she had these 2 daughters that was raised up in idolatry. And what happens?
Accompanied by her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living, and they set out on a road back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law.
So now, 1 second. They was actually going back with Naomi. the two daughter-in-laws had actually decided, we're going to stay with you, Ema. We want to be with you. So they began to travel back with her. But watch what happens with Naomi. Read on, please.
But Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, turn back, each of you, to her mother's house.
Where she tell them to turn back to?
Their mother's house.
But what did the law say?
To go to the father's house.
Go to father's house.
Now, if you watch this story correctly, they did return back to their father's house. Watch how it goes. Read on.
May the Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. May the Lord grant that each of you finds your security in the house of a husband.
Say that again.
May the Lord grant each of you to find security in the house of a husband.
In the house of a husband.
And she kissed them farewell, and they broke into weeping and said to her, no, we will return with you to your people.
Read on.
But Naomi replied, turn back, my daughters. The Lord reward your deeds.
Now, why would these heathenistic, idealistic women want to go with Naomi to learn about the Creator? Because you know that's what's going to happen. Why would they want to do that?
She treated them good.
Zechariah, the 8th chapter, I believe it is, speaks about there should be people who should take hold of the skirt of your garment, saying, lead me to your Creator. Now, these women are actually trying to learn the ways of the Almighty. Naomi is in a position to teach them. But Naomi is going to give them a way out. I don't know if you're ready for this. You might not be ready for this. So why don't you go back and return to your mother's house, to his home. But watch what happens. Read on. This is a trying of the Spirit. You know, this is a test from the Almighty to see who is worthy. The Most High is not going to always make your way easy for you. You have to be determined. You have to be persistent. And no matter what happens to you, you can't give up. You have to keep fighting for that which you desire that you want. Don't just give up the first time the road get hard. Naomi saying to them, get out of here. Go back to your mom and your pop. It's easier there. I got a long way to go. I don't need y'all with me. Y'all go. But watch what happens.
May you have full recompense from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have sought refuge.
Amen. Read on. Is it playing? Read on.
She answered, you are most kind, my Lord, to comfort me and to speak gently to your maidservant, though I am not so much as one of your maidservants.
Yeah, Ruth, the first chapter.
Yeah, the pages of stuff together.
Okay.
Why should you go with me? Have I any more sons in my body whom might the husbands for you? Turn back, my daughters, for I am too old to be married. Even if I thought that there was hope for me, even if I were married tonight, and I also bore sons, should you wait for them to grow up? Should you, on their account, debar yourselves from marriage? Oh no, my daughters, my lot is far more bitter than yours. For the hand of the Lord has struck out against me. They broke out into weeping again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law farewell. But Ruth clung to her. So she said, see, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Go follow your sister-in-law.
She said, get out of here, Ruth. Your sister-in-law already left.
Right.
But watch what she says she returned to. What did she say that sister-in-law returned to?
Her mother and her gods.
Her gods.
Yeah.
She went back to idolatry. You understand what I'm saying to you, family? She went back to practicing idolatry. So the service of the Most High wasn't real within her. See, when a man marries a woman, right, he takes a woman to himself. And this man practices the services of the Almighty, and this woman doesn't. A lot of times that woman will become as you are as long as you're alive. Her true test comes when you either give her a bill or you pass away. That's when her true test comes. To see if she wants to serve the Most High or if she wants to go with what's most comfortable to her, what she's accustomed to. That same thing is for all of us. Because children, you're raised in a man's house who serves the Creator. And when you go out in the streets on your own, your test comes to see whether you're going to serve the Creator or you're going to return back to the easy ways of life and worship the gods of this world. It's simple. Everyone is held accountable for their own actions. Read on, please.
But Ruth clung to her, so she said, "See, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Go follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth replied, "Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go."
She ain't talking about wherever you going physically only. She ain't talking about you got a whole lot of money, so I'm going to stick around you because I know you're going to take care of me. Naomi already said, I know I'm being cursed. I'm being punished by the Creator. Ruth said, wherever you go, I'm going. Whoever you serve, I'm going to serve. That's what she's saying. And she's going to be rewarded for service unto the Most High King. Read on, please.
Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried.
Your people shall be my people. She had no idea of what she was saying. Read on.
Thus and more may the Lord do to me, if anything but death departs from you.
Read on.
When Naomi saw how determined she was to go with her, she ceased to argue with her, and the two went on until they reached Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole city buzzed with excitement over them. The woman said, "Can this be Naomi?"
Hey, hold up a second. This lets you know how prominent Naomi had to have been. When she got back to the city, the whole city was enthused that she returned. Hey, Naomi, she's back. Now, how many people you go back to your hometown is happy when you get back?
A lot.
That's what you think.
Oh, I know it.
That's what you think. Well, if this is true, this testifies of your character and how people see you. If this is true, okay? I hope that it's true. Read on, please.
"Do not call me Naomi," she replied. "Call me Mara. For Shaddai has made my lot very bitter."
Very bitter. Read on.
"Went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty."
She went away full. I mean, she was heavy. They had a couple money, a little bit of money. KSAP. She had a husband. She had children. Yeah, she was rolling. She had everything she needed. She was cool. But when the Creator brought her back, she ain't had no husband. She ain't had no children. And she had a burden called Ruth. Read on, please.
What does Naomi mean?
Pleasant.
Pleasant.
Beautiful and nice.
My delight.
That's why she said call her Mara. That's interesting.
Yeah.
She said, how can I be called a delight when I lost everything?
Read on, please. Wonderful.
How can you call me Naomi when the Lord has dealt harshly with me? When Shaddai has brought misfortune upon me? Thus Naomi returned from the country of Moab. She returned with her daughter-in-law, Ruth the Moabite. They arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest.
They arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. I want you to pay attention to how this goes down, family, from this point forward. Ruth is going to be out in the field from morning till evening, working. She's going to be working. She's going to be picking up after the shearers. She's going to be working. This young prince is going to come by that's got plenty of money. And he's going to be like, yo, I didn't see her here yesterday. Who is she? You know what? You can come in, you can stay in my field every day. Don't go to nobody else's field. Just plow in my fields. But I want to bring your attention to something. This young prince, it made no mention of him looking on her physical beauty. But what he noticed, that I noticed, is her ability, her desire to work. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't one to just sit around and want everything to be given to her. She's saying, where's my part? How can I take it from my hand and put it in my mouth? You understand? She ain't say, here, let me sit home and you just feed me. Give it to me. Put it on my table. She says, no. What's my portion? From the morning, about 5:30, 6 o'clock, till the evening, 7, 6, 8.
It depends on the
She
summer,
getting
if
it
it's
in.
summertime.
It depends on the time of the year. This is the harvest time, so this should have been around September, somewhere around there. It's the harvest time, harvest season.
So
However it was, she was getting it in, y'all. That's the point
That's
that I'm trying to make. And I'm trying to make this point to the brothers that's in the listening audience paying attention. It's not that your woman can't work if you take a wife, but it is that she shouldn't have to work if you take a wife.
Or shouldn't have to work out the house.
Right.
Say that again. Say that again.
Shouldn't have to work out the house to be more clear.
Exactly. She shouldn't have to work outside of the house. Her job will always have a job. She will always have a job if she's a decent woman. Okay? But to go away from your protection and your covering by going out into the world to slave for those couple dollars should have to be her choice and not your demand. Okay? And if you got a woman that's willing to do that, count it as a blessing. Because a lot of women are going to make you earn your keep. Oh, no, you want to be my husband? I'm sitting home and I'm playing, what's that game? Farmville. Well, they got this game that women be playing. Oh, what's that game y'all play? They play this video game. I don't know what this
Candy
game
Crush.
is.
Something like that.
Well, whatever it is. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Where we're friends.
Yeah, they play these games and they make their man go out to work, which they should, but still they have a responsibility. So let's get back to the point. The point was that Ruth showed herself to be a Proverbs 31 woman, which meant that she got out there and got busy.
And she worked 6 days.
And brought it back to the house when she had to. You understand? In the ancient days, I'm going to drop another jewel on you, family. In the ancient days, a man had many children. The children went out to work. When the children made money, they brought it back to the man. Hey, Abba. And it was added to the family's wealth. Not like today. Your children get 18, 19 years old. Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. They get out there and get a couple hours. I got this. This is my money. This is my money.
Right.
I remember when I'm going to tell you a little story about a man I knew. Young guy. Me. When I was a youth, and this was, I grew up poor. Real poor in my life. Real poor. No, I'm serious. I was so poor when I was little. I used to wear my father-in-law's socks, put them on my feet and over like that in my shoe, wrap them over in my shoe, and wear the shoes to school, which had holes in the bottom of them. And the tongue of the sock used to hang out the hole when I used to run and do things, and I was embarrassed because the little kids used to tease me.
You had a father-in-law when you were little?
Yeah.
A stepfather.
My mother.
A stepfather.
Stepfather. Men.
Stepfather.
That's what y'all call it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Now, that's how poor I was when I was growing up. When I got to be a teenager around 12, 13 years old, I started cutting grass in the neighborhood. I went and got me this local broken lawnmower, and I started getting up every day in the summer, in the spring when we didn't have school. And I started walking around the neighborhood, cutting people grass. At that time, we didn't have the weed whackers. We had shears, where you had to get down on your knees and walk along the edge of the grass and trim it up. That's what I used to do. When I became maybe about 18, 19, one of my father-in-laws got me a job doing construction.
Stepfather.
One of the, I had several when I was growing up. So he got me a job doing construction. This joker goes and cheats on my mom and leaves me and my mom, and he with some other woman and all this other stuff. So now my mother became my responsibility. Men, I'm trying to tell you this because this is about character. My mother became my responsibility. I was the man of the house now. I had a younger brother and 2 sisters, but the sisters didn't matter. The men was where the strength came from. When I would go out and get my money,
No. Sorry.
when I would go out and acquire my money from my pay, the things that I did, I would make sure that the home was taken care of. So my mother didn't have to take all that stress from the absence of the man in the house now, because now I'm the man of the house. I made sure she was this. I made sure she had that. Whatever she needed, I made sure it was tight. She could do whatever she wanted to do with her paycheck. Because she was working too. She wasn't making a lot, but I had to help. I had to contribute. This shows the character of a young man. When I got to be an adult, I brought my mother a house. She ain't got to slave for nobody else no more so she can have a living. She got to retire off of the pension that she had from her work. So now my mom gets to sit back and she's chilling in a nice neighborhood where her house fully paid for. She pays her own taxes. She do all of those stuff. The point of the story is that I'm trying to say to you men in the listening audience is that you have to honor your mother. If daddy ain't there, if daddy died, if anything, he felt he was better than y'all, he didn't need y'all no more, whatever it is. Because that's what happened to me. This is how I was treated. And I had to step up as the man of the house. I ain't had time to be playing games. I did a whole lot of things. I did a lot of hustling and all types of things to make sure that I took care of the family. That's the point I'm trying to make. So we men have a major responsibility. And we have to fill some big shoes. We ain't got time to be playing. We ain't got time to be trying to have no fun. We got a whole family we got to provide for. And now it's to a place right now where if anything ever happens to my mother, because of what I've done for her in her life, now I got a place to go to, her home. It'll be mine now if something happened, to Creator forbid. But there's a place that we have set up that we can return to. So in essence, by providing for my mother, I was providing for myself or my own future as well.
That's an excellent tie-in to Judah, because Jacob could not trust the first 3 boys, and Judah had to witness that. So it was one of the situations where now he's like, man, lest I do my father like how my brothers do my father. Nah, this is not going to go well. I have to operate like this, wholly and surely. And as a result of that, he was responsible for the family one way versus the way that Joseph was responsible for the family.
That's right. But it's all about your dedication to the Creator as well. You know, Judah had a major responsibility, you know, and that's why he was set in the position he was in. Now, each and every one of us on individual levels as young men, we have a major responsibility to our families, to our mothers, to our brothers and sisters. And we ought to be right before the Most High by standing up and assuming those positions. Right? Read on a little bit, please.
So now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a man of substance of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, I would like to go to the fields and glean among the ears of grain behind someone who may show me kindness. Yes, daughter, go, she replied. And off she went. She came and gleaned in a field behind the reapers, and as luck would have it, it was a piece of land belonging to Boaz, who was of Elimelech's family. Presently, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem. He greeted the reapers. The Lord be with you. And they responded, the Lord bless you. Boaz said to the servant who was in charge of the reapers, whose girl is that?
He said, whoa, who is that? Watch what he said. Watch how he checked it out.
Definitely.
What did he say about Ruth? He said, who girl is that? She knew her. I ain't never seen her.
The servant in the charge of the reapers replied, she is a Moabite girl who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers. She has been on her feet ever since she came this morning.
He was impressed. She's been on her feet ever since she came. She is a hard worker. A woman like that needs to be rewarded. So men, when you pick a woman, make sure you pick the right woman. Don't just look because she look good, she got a nice figure. No, look at her inward parts. Look at the things that matter most. Okay? Read on, please.
She has rusted but a little in the hut. Boaz said to Ruth, listen to me, daughter. Don't go to glean in another field.
Don't go nobody else's field.
Don't go elsewhere, but stay close to my girls.
Stay close right here with my women. The ones who work with me. You stay with them and glean in this field. Don't go across the street to nobody else's field. You stay right here. He's putting his bed in. He's showing kindness to her because he had a level of respect for her. Read on, please.
Keep your eyes on the field they are reaping, and follow them. I have ordered the men not to molest you.
Yeah, not to bother you.
Not that be coming after you talking about, hey, what's up, shorty? Can I get your number? Can I get your digits? Read on, please. We're going to wrap this up because it's getting late. People growing weary. There's so much to talk about. But let's wrap this up. Go ahead, Doc.
And when you are thirsty, go to the jars and drink some more of the water that the men have drawn.
All right. We're going to stop there. When you get thirsty, go drink some water that the men have drawn. The point that I'm going to close this with is that Boaz saw a young lady. Men, pay attention. Boaz saw a young lady that he was interested in. And he laid down some rules based on the woman's characteristic.
That's right.
He began to provide for her. He began to take care of her. He began to show her favor because he was a man of stature.
All right.
He was a man of ability. And anytime you go out to search you out a woman, make sure you are a man of that type of caliber.
That's right.
You don't take a woman and bring her home to your daddy or your mama's house.
That's fair.
That's right.
Boaz had his own. You understand? You don't take her and take her to the backseat of a car because you staying in an alley because you ain't got nowhere to live. You understand? If you're living in somebody's basement, don't take her there. Now, this woman might be struggling, going through a little bit of hard times, which most women should be if they're single by themselves and they're trying to make it. A good woman, I'm talking about. They will be. And then you come in their life, now she got a good thing going. She just got a little job, she's working a little bit, she's making a little bit of income, and here you come, a bum. Straight bum, don't want to work nowhere. Can't get you to wash a wall if you had to. And you talking about, hey, and you look good though, you're a good looking little bum. Victim to that. And now, 2-3 months later, she loses her job. Because she can't get to work on time or on days when she's supposed to be because you keeping her out past the hours that she's supposed to be out. You're keeping her up past the time that she's supposed to be up. Do not, brothers, listen to me, please. Do not be this type of man. When you meet a woman and you bring her into your life, you should enhance her, elevate her, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and most important, spiritually.
Okay.
You lead her to the Most High King. So what I submit to you today, family, if you can't do those things, if you're not going to be that kind of man, although she may look good and beautiful and pretty and whatever it is, you say shalom and keep it moving. If you can't, you don't do nothing because you'll end up messing up that girl's life.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
So with that, I'm going to close this portion of the lesson out. Turn her about.
Great lesson.
We're gonna have the closing prayer by Mario. But you know, Prince, he loves the woman. He got to make sure that they good because that's usually the narrative that is given where the men are usually the bones, right? But men, you also have a responsibility that when you choose that you pick someone that enhances your life as well.
Yes, that's right.
Because if you're not careful, you can also pick someone that drags you down.
That's right.
In all those same categories, whether it's
she's a bum.
emotionally, spiritually, financially. Right. So now the women are the prize. We applaud them. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
But you too are a prize.
That's right. Hallelujah.
So you have to make sure that you pick somebody that can
Oh God.
that can add that value. Amen.
Yeah.
I said first.
Especially the sons of Israel.
Okay.
Worthy to be praised.
Hallelujah. Told y'all for allowing us to have a blessed and productive day, O Most High, and allowing us to learn and become closer with you, O Most High. Please, O Most High, guide us as we go on our way and go through our week, O Most High, and allow us to work 6 days a week, O Most High, and be strong enough and go out there and work for you, O Most High, and bring back to our families and provide. Please, O Most High, bless the vision of Goshen, O Most High, allow it to be prosperous. Told y'all for all the people that are here today, O Most High, to call in your name. And please, O Most High, give them a special blessing for coming out to give you glory, O Most High. Please, O Most High, put in our spirit to do right, O Most High, because it's so easy to do wrong, O Most High, in this world, O Most High.
Absolutely.
Told y'all for all things and everything you gave us. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Salah.
It's a nice stuff.
Save it.
I gotta finish.